Alexander Litvinenko was once a loyal servant of the Russian state. He climbed through the ranks of the FSB, the successor agency to the infamous KGB, dedicating his life to intelligence work. However, Litvinenko's loyalty would be tested as he witnessed firsthand the dark underbelly of the new Russia under Vladimir Putin. In 1998, Litvinenko publicly accused his superiors of ordering the assassination of Boris Berezovsky, a powerful oligarch who had fallen out of favor with the Kremlin. This act of defiance marked a turning point in Litvinenko's life. He became a marked man, facing threats and intimidation from the very organization he once served. Fearing for his safety and disillusioned with the corrupt system he had sworn to uphold, Litvinenko fled Russia with his family in 2000. He sought asylum in the United Kingdom, where he reinvented himself as a writer, consultant, and outspoken critic of the Putin regime. Little did Litvinenko know that his past would follow him to London, casting a long shadow over his newfound freedom. He continued to expose what he saw as the criminal activities of the Russian government, making powerful enemies within the Kremlin's walls. His defiance would ultimately come at a terrible price. In today's episode, we will delve into the mysterious death of Alexander Litvinenko. Life in London was a world away from the shadows of Russian intelligence. Litvinenko embraced his new life, becoming a British citizen and adopting the name Sasha. He found camaraderie among other Russian exiles, sharing their hopes for a democratic Russia free from Putin's grip. However, Litvinenko never truly escaped his past. He remained a thorn in the side of the Kremlin, writing articles and giving interviews that criticized Putin's authoritarian rule. He accused the Russian government of orchestrating the Moscow theater hostage crisis and the Beslan school siege, further solidifying his status as an enemy of the state. Despite the risks, Litvinenko refused to be silenced. He believed in exposing the truth no matter the cost. He worked with British intelligence, providing them with information about Russian organized crime and the FSB's activities abroad. Litvinenko's actions made him a target. His criticisms struck at the heart of Putin's power, and the Kremlin would not tolerate such open defiance. The stage was set for a confrontation that would have deadly consequences. On November 1, 2006, Alexander Litvinenko went about his day in London unaware that it would be his last. He had a series of meetings, including one with two former Russian colleagues, Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Kovtun, at the luxurious Millennium Hotel in Mayfair. The meeting was ostensibly a business discussion, but Litvinenko later claimed that Lugovoy and Kovtun had tried to recruit him to gather compromising information on a Russian oligarch living in London. Whatever their true motives, the encounter at the Millennium Hotel would have a devastating impact on Litvinenko's health. Later that day, Litvinenko fell violently ill. He experienced vomiting, diarrhea, and severe abdominal pain. At first, doctors were baffled by his rapidly deteriorating condition. They suspected food poisoning, but Litvinenko's symptoms were unlike anything they had seen before. As Litvinenko's condition worsened, a sense of dread filled the London air. His illness was not a simple case of food poisoning. Something far more sinister was at play. As Litvinenko lay in a hospital bed, his body ravaged by an unknown illness, a desperate race against time began. Doctors worked tirelessly to identify the cause of his ailment, but his condition continued to deteriorate. Meanwhile, suspicions grew that Litvinenko's illness was no accident. His history of criticizing the Kremlin and his recent meeting with Lugovoy and Kovtun raised alarm bells within the British government and intelligence agencies. The breakthrough came when scientists discovered traces of polonium-210, a highly radioactive substance, in Litvinenko's urine. The discovery sent shockwaves through the medical community and beyond. Polonium-210 is incredibly rare and exceptionally lethal even in minuscule amounts. The presence of polonium-210 pointed to a chilling conclusion. Alexander Litvinenko had been poisoned. The question was, who had the means and the motive to carry out such a brazen attack? As Alexander Litvinenko lay in his hospital bed, he made a final, haunting accusation. He pointed the finger directly at the Kremlin, stating that Vladimir Putin himself had ordered his poisoning. His words, spoken with the last of his strength, sent shockwaves around the world. The investigation into Litvinenko's death led to the identification of two main suspects, Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Kovtun. Both were former KGB agents, and both had met with Litvinenko on the day he fell ill. Despite overwhelming evidence, Russia refused to extradite them, leading to a diplomatic standoff. In a landmark ruling, the European Court of Human Rights found that Russia was responsible for Litvinenko's assassination. The court cited the use of polonium-210, a rare and highly controlled substance, as evidence of state involvement. This ruling further strained relations between Russia and the West. Alexander Litvinenko's death was not in vain. His courage in exposing corruption and his tragic end brought international attention to the darker aspects of Russian politics. His legacy endures as a symbol of the fight for truth and justice, inspiring others to stand up against oppression and tyranny. This concludes today's episode of the Paranormal Report. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. It is because of your continued viewership and support that we are able to produce interesting and informative videos like this. The team here at the Paranormal Report really appreciates your support.